recording on this computer. All right, yeah, so where did we leave off? What's the scene? What's the story?
We had just had a huge fight with Stonebreaker and his minions. And Stonebreaker freaking transformed into Monster Mash and was killed by Paiviki.
Incapacitated, and then Taimi kicked him off the cliff.
Yeah, Paiviki did what I have here as a Donkey Kong kick. And that kills Monster Mash, and then Taimi kicks Monster Mash's body off the cliff. And we had just heard help from inside the cave.
Good, nice. Is that your session notes coming into roost there, John? Great, yes. So you heard cries of help. There's 2 incapacitated cultists in this area that Paiviki kind of took out. And somebody ran off in the middle of that fight. And then if you recall, much earlier in the night, you tied somebody up to a tree over in this vicinity, out in the trees there.
Osmo is tied up.
Yes, you're reminding me about that. Yeah.
There's 2 guards still up.
Sorry, they're those marks should be horizontal. They're incapacitated.
Oh,
they're on the ground there. Yeah. Yeah. So 2 guards are down. And yes, so Taimi. There was one last person who kind of charged at Taimi and was going to push Taimi off the cliff, and then Weirin shot them. And then Taimi turned and grappled with them and took them out of the action as well. And then, so you guys have all recovered from that. Everybody's breathing heavily. I don't know how, if Taimi, I think, is still feeling that kind of rage coursing through her system. Yeah. And you hear this coming from this doorway.
And the man that they were getting ready to throw off of that cliff.
Oh yeah.
Was in bad shape, but left on the ground.
Yep.
In a safe spot.
Yeah, he's like, remember, so Weirin helped him. He's basically right nearby. And he's just kind of looking, so he's shaggy looking, clearly hasn't washed in a while, ragged clothes, and he's kind of, I think he was hiding behind this wall down here. So when you guys finally do away with Stonebreaker, he kind of like peeks out, kind of wide-eyed, and then there's the cry from the opening, and he kind of like looks up that way, and then looks at all of you, and he's just kind of like sort of obviously fearful and not knowing what to do next.
Okay.
Yeah, so Taimi's a little beat up, right? Got some
Taimi's been beat up. Also, I made some very specific notes. Taimi got attacked by that like very gnarly dagger, and in my notes I say that it has damaged her armor and shirt. Right?
Yeah, I think it reduced the armor by 1. Like you're wearing chainmail, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's not going to matter because Taimi is just spitting mad. She's just like, she's pacing, and like cursing Vahainen, and takes off both the shirt and the chainmail, and just like throws it on the ground and kicks it. I don't have the energy to role play someone like yelling angrily,
Sure.
but she's just spouting off about like it's been sullied. It's unclean. Like
Oh,
he
I see. Got it. Yeah.
he ruined it. He ruined it. Like now look at me. Like this is terrible. Just mad. Just mad.
Wow. Okay. So hair back, but in disarray.
Yeah.
Veins standing out, stomping around, yelling, taking off the. Are you wearing some kind of undershirt underneath that? Are you naked from the waist up, or just trying to I'm trying to understand the drama of the situation?
Yeah, I know. I think like I'm trying to. I know that because I also know that I have my fur-lined cape. I think that I threw the fur-lined cape off, and then I threw off the chainmail, and then I threw off the shirt, and then I probably pick up the cape and I put it back on and pull it over myself.
Okay, got it. And just like stewing,
Yeah.
angry. Okay, great. Muirin, how are you feeling about seeing Taimi in this state?
Oh, in the state. Well, she's just relieved that Taimi's
Mm-hmm.
alive. Yeah, because that could have been a close call. I guess Mirren is worried that she's more hurt than she's letting on. And that's it.
Okay. And Paiviki, how's Paiviki feeling? Did you suffer? You suffered a little bit of damage in that brawl with him, right?
Yeah, I took some hits, but she's doing okay. I can't remember exactly what shape those wounds were.
What shape they were?
Like at what point she incurred them. I don't really remember.
You had like a sort of back and forth. He had these weird, jagged, thorny things sticking out of him, and you guys had basically a series of came to blows, and it was like a knockdown, dodge, punch. So
right.
it was a flurry of action as you guys went mano a mano, and that ended with you punting him to the edge of the cliff.
Right.
And I think just in the course of that, you got a little banged up.
Yeah. So I think she's pretty wide-eyed. Because she never really fought a fight quite like that, where she was just like hacking away at people with swords and using magic and she knocked off that cliff by accident.
That's right. Yeah.
Which she didn't mean to do. and then basically all hell broke loose. So she forgot a bunch of spells, and her brain is kind of addled because from doing that, her intelligence went down. So she's she kind of just went back into fighter mode, and she's kind of like just kind of staring at Taimi and kind of looking around, also just remembering that that spiked club that she tossed away came flying back at her.
Yeah.
So, and listening to Taimi cursing Vaihinen, she's kind of like waiting for something to happen, and listening to see if she's just on alert for the moment, like if anybody's going to come attack them, or if any supernatural force is about to take revenge. So I think she just kind of takes a few steps down towards the cliff, but she's just waiting for the moment.
Okay, I think when she does that, like there's that tension, the violence appears to have ended for the moment. She's still thinking about, her mind's racing, considering all these things and everything that just happened. Yeah, it was like weave of force. You were gathering up weave of force to attack this guy with. He transformed into this bizarre creature. Like you guys are remembering stories from your childhood about Vihainen and the stories that adults used to say, and then all of a sudden here in the dark, in this place in Watcher's Climb where you'd never been before, you appear to have encountered an actual agent of this dark spirit or evil god or whatever it is. So there's like I think as you're feeling that and you sort of take a step down towards the cliff, a wind kind of like rushes up from below and kind of washes over all of you like a sudden updraft, to the point where like your hair kind of is blown by it a little bit, and you feel that you still had some of that energy kind of gathered around you, and as the wind kind of blows across you, that energy kind of like unravels from your body, and you feel the weave of force kind of like being carried, you know, the flow that you're used to kind of moving through in the world, like the flow kind of washes over you and pulls away your attachment to it. Not in any permanent way, just in kind of like a momentary kind of like cleansing of it from you. And when that happens, you feel a little calmer. Like some of the tension goes out with that. And then you don't feel like there's an immediate threat. Not that you can sense danger, but like this there's this moment where this happens and you're having all these feelings, and Taimi is looking super upset, and Taimi doesn't feel any calmer after this wind blows by, but you feel a little less hopped up.
Okay.
You're friggin'
I think Paiviki says to Taimi,
Ugh. What?
It's okay, we did it.
He got me. He got me with the dagger. He got me with Vahinen's dagger. I just feel unclean. I feel like this was a huge mistake. I feel like this was a huge risk. Like, oh my gosh, maybe we should have just left this well enough alone.
But we beat them. We showed them we're better than them.
She runs the couple of feet to the cliff and spits over it and yells some obscenities down.
Yeah, so her voice echoes into the, against the cliff wall and then out into the great dark valley spread out below you.
I know. I should feel the release. I should feel the talons of the Netherhawk, like releasing from me. But like I just don't. All right, like I just don't. And now my chainmail is ruined, and my shirt is ruined, and I'm cold, and I just wanna fire. Ugh.
Paiviki says to Mirren, maybe we should just have a fire and see who's down in that hole.
There is a campfire lit, right?
Yep, there's a campfire. Where it's embers, but it's where those two incapacitated guys are.
Yeah.
Right in front of the opening.
So they're still alive.
Yeah.
I guess Miriam feels a little sorry for them, but wants to sort of make sure that they're not or secure them, I guess. So
Mm-hmm. Do you have rope on you, or you want to try to find some in the nearby supplies?
I think Miriam has rope. Is it okay if we like sit them up and then sort of have them their hands tied back?
Sure. Or are you asking your teammates? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no. I guess everyone, as long as no one, yeah, that's what Mirren would.
I was kind of thinking about, yeah, I was kind of thinking about putting them in the hole where they put those other people and sort of switching roles,
Yeah, replacing him. That's a good idea.
just so we don't
I like
have to
that.
watch them all night.
Yeah. So you guys have that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, tying their hands up immediately is a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well, planning to put them in the hole, so I guess Mirren will just tie up their hands and hopefully, hoping that Taimi can be like distracted by something to do next and not feel angrier and angrier.
Are you going to try to distract Tiny with a specific activity?
No, I just want to show her that we're moving on.
Okay.
Mm.
Great. So Tiny's still sort of over by the cliff edge, and you and Paiviki are near the bodies. You've tied them up next to the opening in the
Well,
wall.
she
Yeah.
did say she wants a fire, right? So I'll just like point that there's the fire.
Paiviki says, Taimi, there's a pile of wood over there. Can you make the fire bigger for these people? And then I'm going to go over to the guy who's huddled by the wall.
Okay. And he kind of like, he sort of like recoils a little bit. He's not running or anything, but he's clearly like in awe of you because he just watched this whole thing go down.
And I say, it's okay. When I saw you coming out of that hole, I knew that you needed help. So we came. And
But you're cooking.
Yes,
You wear the armor of a woodkeeper.
yes, but I was raised in Reuna, downriver from here.
Huh. I've heard of that place. My daughter Minya is in the hole. Please help her out.
I will. Come sit by the fire. And I kind of gesture to lift him up and help him walk over there.
Okay. He's too afraid to take your hand, but he helps himself up. So he doesn't take your hand, but
Okay.
he stands up and he'll sort of trepidatiously follow you over there.
Okay.
John, is Taimi doing the appointed task?
Yeah, she is. She grabs the wood and she makes the fire with a little less gusto than she might normally, and then just plops down and takes off the cape and is inspecting angrily the wound on her shoulder from the knife, but also the wound in her side from the trap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And just like looking at those and trying to clean them.
Okay. How is she trying to clean them? What is she like, looking around for supplies kind of thing? Or you have your water skin with you, just like rinsing it out and
Yeah, just rinsing it out, dabbing it off with.
Okay. So, okay, great. So you're tending your injuries by the fire. These two, the two unconscious people, like, have their hands tied behind their back. They're laying on the ground, and leaning up next to the wall, on the wall against the opening is a kind of roughly made ladder, which the I can't remember if you guys saw that used or not.
I think they dropped it down and then somebody went down in there and brought the
Oh
Weaver guy,
yeah. So you saw it. You saw that it was used inside the hole. Yeah.
and then they pulled it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you peer inside there, I'm assuming it's Paviki and Mirren peering in there.
Yeah.
Is that right? It's pitch black. So one of you, I don't know, there's like
I would get like a stick from the fire.
stick
or
from the fire,
something.
brand from the fire, something like that. So you hold that out in there and you're looking down in this ancient structure, there clearly used to be a floor that went all the way across that floor level that you're standing, but that's all gone now. So you're looking down 15 feet into a lower level, which is filled with rubble. And like the only thing left on the walls is like a little bit of masonry where that floor used to be. So there's really no way, unless you were, I mean, Mirren can scale sheer surfaces, I think, right? Isn't that one of your things?
I
So
think I took something like that.
yeah. So Mirren could actually climb in and out of this place, but no, anybody else who tried to do that would be hard pressed. So, and in there, amongst the rubble, staring up at you, are a man, another kind of raggedly dressed man, bigger and looks more hardy than the fellow that you have already met, and he has like this guy has like a kind of a really matted gray beard and kind of raggedy hair, square jaw, clearly also is in ill health, but is kind of bigger and stronger and piercing. Like the thing that the firelight catches is like these piercing gray blue eyes that he kind of like is looking up at you with, and he's holding the hand of a girl who looks to be about 14 or 15 years old, and her face is covered in dirt or ash or something like that. Like it's like she's rubbed dirt all over her face. So she's staring up at you as well.
Can we reach out to them?
Yeah, the ladder would be the best way for them to get up, if you want to drop that in there.
Yeah. Oh, and then my skill isn't actually scale sheer surface, it's sharpshooter, which I didn't actually use last time. I should have.
Oh.
All right.
Yeah,
Let's lower that ladder down, and we say, "You're free."
So the two of them kind of exchange a glance with each other, and the man says, he says something to her you can't make out, and then he climbs the ladder up and sort of he doesn't seem fearful like the other guy. He climbs up and then gestures down for her, and then she climbs up the ladder, and the two of them exit the area into the area where the campfire is. And the man who was outside earlier rushes to embrace the girl.
Mhm.
And he's, like, Minya, my dear, we're out. And they he's kind of hugging her, and the bigger man is kind of like looking. He looks at the people on the ground, the unconscious people, and at you, at Paviki, and he kind of takes in the whole scene. And then he turns and looks up, and from this perspective where the campfire is, when you look up, there's the wall. When you look up uphill up the mountain, basically from where you are, you can actually see the moon is reflecting off the peak of the mountain up there. And he turns around and makes he sort of makes a triangle with his hands over his head in a clear kind of gesture towards the mountain.
Ooh.
And then says some words under his breath that you can't make out. Um, and then he turns around and says, "Who has the mountain sent to save us?"
I'm Paiviki from downriver in Rayuna, and this is Mirren and Taimi. We heard from we came looking for friends to see who lived in this area, and we heard from the people who live on the mountains top that you may have needed help, so we came to see.
The Hisi, you spoke with the Hisi.
Yes.
The mountain has brought you to us then. I am Ilka. I was called father once. But those who called me that are gone. That is Armas and Minya. They are all that is left of my flock.
Hmm. This is
There's only
sad.
three people. There's only three people left.
Does Taimi say that?
No, John.
That seems to be what he's saying, yeah.
Wow.
How did you defeat Stonebreaker?
I look over at Taimi and with with these wounds, and kind of show Taimi's shoulder and kind of point to it and stuff like that. And finally threw him over the cliff. And point to the spot where the cliff used to be.
Yeah, so he sees that, he sort of realizes that there's this whole section of the cliff missing, and like like a look of astonishment crosses his face. Yes, Jumala swallowed him up. Jumala was at your side and under your feet, as he is now. I only wish that he had sent you months ago. It is fitting that you banished Stonebreaker into the depths, just like the stories say.
I never believed those stories when all the when the kids in town were warning me of Vihainen. I never believed them.
And now?
Well, yes, we met some people who did believe him. But we proved that Vihainen is a coward.
Interesting. Huh. I need you to make a saving throw with wisdom.
Let's see. So wisdom is currently 10 plus 0. I got a 9.
Okay. So you say behind him is a coward, and the fire goes. There's like a tongue of flame leaps out of the campfire right at you, and you like flinch and back away from it. And there's just a moment where it goes like, and then like a sheet of flame like rises and then disappears into the night sky, and all of the heat has left that campfire, and it's just smoking embers now.
Taimi stands up enraged. What did you do? You and your stupid magic, your stupid weed. I couldn't even just have like one simple fire.
Okay. Taimi feels the sudden urge to attack Paiviki. And in fact, as you're shouting at Paiviki, your eyes are catching it's as if the flame is still present. Your eyes are catching a reflection of that flame in them. But that's what Taimi feels right now, this like powerful urge to attack Paiviki.
Yeah. I just start, marching towards her. You know what magic has done to me. You know what it's done to the people, of Rayuna, the monster, the monster of the cave, and you learn nothing. You still use this power, and you don't even know what it does. And I. Oof. Do I have the uncontrollable urge to attack her or to kill her?
It's right now. It's just attack.
Okay, then I'm gonna just tackle her.
Okay, great.
Paiviki is just a little bit like wide-eyed, sort of like when she said that and the fire blasted her.
Yeah,
she was just a little bit just kind of like, what did I just do?
And then here comes Taimi. Are you going to put up any resistance? Yeah.
I don't think she has a proper response. So I don't think there's any rolls involved.
Okay, then she's tackled to the ground. Okay.
Yeah, she's tackled to the ground.
So Taimi has.
She's right, because she's right.
Okay, so Taimi, the urge is to like teach Paiviki a lesson by hurting Paiviki somehow. So you've got her on the ground, you've like tackled her to the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And you're basically like on top of her with like one hand, holding on to her her shirt right there, and you're like on top of her. You can, just to be clear, you can resist the urge to harm her. You can role play it, or you can try to resist the urge to harm her.
I think, I think this is the moment when she resists. I think this is when it catches up to her that this is potentially not her. I think that she like has one hand down on Taimi's chest, and she just has her other one just like up, like in a fist, like she's just gonna sock her just like straight in the face. Okay. And that's when she realized like that was just a fire, like, or at least she tries to have that thought.
Yeah, right. Like that part
was just
of her
fire. What am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, and it's probably because like I'm still shirtless. I feel like that coldness, like I'm like, I think maybe that's even one of the vectors that factors in. So great. Would you like me to make what sort of roll?
Wisdom.
Good old wisdom. Let's go. Oh, sorry, that's a 6.
You may
but you know what? I don't want to be playing. I'll burn a luck.
Okay.
I'll burn a luck to make it a 7.
Okay. So I think the trade-off is there is that you're like, "Ugh," and you feel that, but you can't stop yourself, and you just like pow, and like Paviki gets knocked, like there's like blood, like right, like cuts her cheek on her teeth, like pow, like big smack, face in the dirt, and it's right after you land that blow that you've suddenly realized what you've done, and that all of that feeling about what's happening and whether you have control or not, that's when you have a very, very conscious realization.
And I immediately, shaking hand, pulled my hand from Paiviki's chest. I'm Paiviki. This Paiviki, this isn't me.
I think Karaviki's like, you're right, Taimi. I don't know what I'm doing. And she just kind of starts laughing out of like nervousness and like,
Why can't I calm down? Why do I still just feel so mad?
So Ilka, the bigger man, puts his hand on your shoulder and says, "It is Vihainen. He is in you. We must remove him."
What? No, you're wrong. If that was true, then I would be unclean.
You will be clean. We must remove him. And he notices the injury in your side, and he says, "You were poisoned by one of their traps."
Yeah, I was hit by a trap, but poisoned. I don't feel weaker. I don't feel thirsty. I feel no pain.
No, their poison makes you angry.
That's a stupid idea. That's a stupid poison. And I think I really quickly stand up and like get in his face, and I do the same thing. I like grab his shirt like to punch him.
Yeah.
And then
I'm gonna hold Mirren back. I'm gonna hold Taimi back.
Okay, so
and
you
then I have the same moment where, no, this isn't me. This isn't me. And I let myself get like held back.
Mirren, what do we do?
Did Mirren knew about the poison back in the forest, right? So maybe she can work out with his name is
Ilka. Yeah.
Ilka. Oh, so she'll ask Ilka, what can we do to what do we need? What ingredients do we need to remove behind it?
I will see if there are any herbs left in my supply. We will need fresh water.
Oh, I can get that.
Yes, you can get the fresh water.
I can get really fresh water.
Oh yeah. Oh, the premium, the top shelf.
Is that what you mean?
Oh my god, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
Mere Sani water.
So there is near under one of those awnings on that ruined tower, there is a big kind of clay vessel that is holding rainwater, and he moves into that space under the rightmost awning and starts kind of like looking around for stuff, and shortly produces a pouch with some herbs in it. And he says, come, and gestures for Paiviki to help Taimi over towards the cliff. He wants you to come to the edge of the cliff.
I think Paiviki is like just going back and forth now between like realizing there's something wrong and getting angry again. So she'll be like, I'm not taking any stupid potion. I'm not taking anything. There's nothing wrong with me. And then like she'll find herself snarling and be like, please, and then she'll start stammering, and then she'll just trip back into it. So I think between that, she resists a little to be taken, but then like in the moments where she like loosens, she's able to be dragged a bit more.
So he brings you right over to the edge of the cliff. So Minya and Armas are still by the fire, kind of like they've been watching this whole thing, and they're just kind of like embracing. And he brings you down to this area of the cliff, with Paiviki kind of guiding you, and Muirin. I guess the clay pot has like handles on it, so it's not so big you can't carry it, so you can sort of lug that down there. And he asks you to kneel at the edge of the cliff, facing outward, not like right at the edge, but like maybe like 2 or 3 feet away from it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you comply with that? Is it the same deal? You're like resist and then give in?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he tears off like a little bundle of twigs about several inches long, and he holds them out to you and says, chew.
So, same deal. Like, no, you're trying to kill me. I like I'm being betrayed. And then like, with tears, starts chomping down.
Okay. So it's like a very bitter, juniper-y kind of tasting thing. And he says, you must chew and swallow. And this is like, there's sticks. So it's really like super fibrous. So you really have to like, chew them down. And as you're doing that, this really super bitter taste is like filling up your whole, your throat and nasal passages. And you manage to choke that down. And he puts his hand, so he's sort of standing to one side of you, and he puts his hand, he puts one hand on the top of your head and another hand kind of in the middle of your back and like the small of your back. When you feel him put his hand in the small of your back, like there's like this little it's like some peace has entered your body at that point, like a kind of, there's like a soft kind of warm feeling. You've been feeling like the cold night air, and it's just like this, just that one little part of your body feels like, I don't know, it feels like hope, I guess. And then he he sort of gestures from Weirin to give you, there's like a dipper in the thing, and he gestures from Weirin to give you some water from the vessel. So Weirin does that, looks like. Is that right, Donna? So you sort of drink that sloppily, and then he says, Jumala, and he's like calls out the name of the mountain spirit, and his voice kind of echoes across the mountainside. I call out the Lord of Wrath. And then you feel like a convulsion. Everything contracts. Yeah. And then you proceed to empty the contents of your of your stomach over the cliffside there. And you take 1d4 points of constitution damage.
Holy. It's gonna be a big 4.
Oh,
that's a hard hit.
Yeah.
It was 11. That's a hard hit. All right. Oof.
So like some black syrupy stuff comes up, like
does it affect my HP total?
It does.
Okay. So how does this work?
So if your modifier drops, then your HP drops by the same amount.
Okay, my modifier dropped by 2. I went from +1.
Oh.
No. 11 is just 1, right?
11 is 0.
Okay, then it just dropped by 1. My modifier dropped by 1.
Yeah, so your HP just drops by 1.
My maximum HP and current HP. Got it. Okay, thank you.
And there's that feeling of you're just completely emptied out, and that kind of back and forth struggle that you were having the anger and fear, all that, like, it's completely left you. Like you feel,
Mhm.
and he's still, so you're kind of like thrown up over the cliff, and there's a couple of dry heaves, and then he's sort of crouched down next to you at your level, and he's taking his hand off your head, and he's still kind of holding his hand on your back, and you feel like that kind of peace kind of fills your whole body.
Mhm. Um, I think I just absolutely just teeter onto my side, and just breathe heavy. I'm I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Pass out.
Fade to black.
Can we like wrap a blanket around her and help her
Yeah.
get
In fact, I'm
comfortable?
going to say Mina shows up with a blanket from the supply area. So yeah, Muir, and you turn around, and Mina is there with a wool blanket that you can wrap Taimi in.
So sad.
I think that Paiviki wants to offer these people some food.
Okay, so back at the campfire,
They seem like they're in a rough spot. I don't know when they ate last.
is Paiviki going to carry Taimi back?
Yeah. Yeah, if Paiviki's like out, then yeah, definitely.
Okay. So everybody returns to the fire, and Armus has got the fire going again. And you had all your supplies with you? You have food with you?
I have some food.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
So Armus and his daughter, fall upon it hungrily, and Ilka restrains himself. He doesn't appear to be tempted by it, and he allows them to. He clearly is more concerned for their well-being than his own.
I marked off a couple rations.
Okay, great.
And then Paiviki is gonna just pick up the cultist guys one at a time and carry them down the ladder.
Okay.
And put them there.
Okay, great. So they're in there, and you've removed the ladder.
And then wait, then she's gonna go, remove the ladder, and then she's gonna go get Osmo.
Oh, okay, out of the
and carry him over to.
Well, I forget what condition you guys left him in. He was unconscious?
He was unconscious and tied up, I think.
Yeah. So roll luck to see if he's still out.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a 7 right now, so -1. I rolled an 8 -1, so a 7.
Okay. Yeah, he is awake.
I'd say to Osmo, good news. The Stonebreaker is dead. You're free. Not really.
What? You lie. You lie.
No, I don't.
That's not possible.
I say, come with me. Come with me. I'll show you.
And you untie him?
I'd like to untie him except for his hands. If I could keep his hands tied behind his back.
Okay, so you're going to try a maneuver where you untie him from the tree, but keep his hands tied.
Yeah.
So his hands, I imagine, were already tied, and then he was tied to the tree.
Yeah.
I guess if it's 2 separate sections of rope, and I could imagine you guys would have done that. So okay, so yeah, so you, but he's going to make a break for it. As soon as you get him off the tree, he gets up and makes a dash. So
Oh, man.
are you like holding on to him firmly in the first place? Is he just trying to like break out of your grasp, or were you untying him and letting him stand up on his own?
Yeah, I would. What was I doing? I was untying him and trying to convince him to come back over and take a look, but he seems like he's not going for it. So yeah, if he starts to make a dash for it, I'll run after him, I guess.
Okay, then roll dexterity to catch him.
Okay. I rolled a 6. I guess I'll I'll fail that roll.
You want to let him go? Yeah.
Yeah.
You get to mark dexterity. And I make a move. So he easily eludes you. Like you take, maybe it's like you're sapped because of the adrenaline. Like he makes a break for it and you take a couple of steps. And he's already like, he's a quick guy and he's already kind of out there in the dark,
Yeah.
out of your sight. And then you hear the crunch of like branches underfoot as he's moving through the underbrush. And then there's silence for a moment. And then his voice like curses you in a language you don't understand. There's like this, this vicious kind of, these vicious words come at you out of the darkness. They're like, sort of more clear than they should be. And in keeping with the very strange vibe you've been getting here this whole night, that you in particular, Paiviki, have been picking up from things like fires leaping at you and stuff like that. And then the night is silent.
Oh man, I just got cursed by Vyheinen again. Shit. I guess I'm just going to go back to the campsite.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm going to sit down and say, well, Osmo has escaped. And she's kind of like going to shake her head, just like put her head in her hands and
you were right. So Ilka says to you earlier, that word you used to describe he who must be cast from the cliff, when the fire leaped at you, that word you used, they are all like that.
a coward.
Shh.
I think Paiviki is just insatiably a provocateur. The combination of bold and boastful is just
Yeah. Do you seek his wrath?
I will take him.
He doesn't really know what to make of that. Like, this is a guy who you have the impression like people are used to listening to him, and he like has a sort of a parable for every situation, or words of wisdom, and when you say that, he sort of like, you see this kind of like calm facade sort of break for a moment. I have seen many willful displays in my time, but none have dared to say they would face the Lord of Wrath himself.
But we have won. We fought a battle. We called on the mountain spirit, and we have won. Did we not?
You have, and you have saved us. We thought, even I thought that we were lost. Even I, who have remained devoted to this mountain, thought that my last days would be spent in that black hole. You say you cast Stonebreaker into the depths?
He went the same place that Taimi's vomit went. Over the side.
I do not feel his presence. It may be safe to sleep here, but this is a sad place for us. I fear that it may be haunted by those whose lives were taken. Where did you come from? From the south?
I'm feeling slightly self-conscious for dominating the conversation.
No, I'm unconscious. Don't worry.
Miriam, why don't you tell him?
Okay, you're fine though. Yes, the south.
It may be safe to sleep here, but we should stay alert.
So, would you say that we're still like morning or early? Is it like early morning now, or is it like?
No, this is all still sort of the dead of night. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So not much time has passed. Okay.
Yeah, not a whole lot of time has passed. And Taimi's unconscious, so the rest of you guys ready to spend the night?
Yeah. We could, if we could just have the two of us keep watch if the others are exhausted or.
Yeah, you guys are the only two. I mean, Ilka appears. Eventually, he does eat some food, and he appears that he's able to maybe do it as well. So between the three of you, you could split that time.
Didn't we leave Topias thinking that we were coming back?
We did leave Topias.
Yeah, it was I guess the question was, were you going to come back at night, or would it be morning by the time you came back? Because it was like a night mission, right?
I thought we gave him like a 2-day
Okay.
window. Let me go back and yield notes, see if I have anything.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you leaving him a healthy amount of time. But I guess that's a question. Do you want to head back to Topias right now, or crash in this area?
There's a crazed cultist running around with his hands tied, cursing people. There are traps that will gouge you with poisonous barbs in the woods. And there's some creature that dissolved, or something that dissolved the bodies of some deer as well. So it's not exactly safe out there. but also Topias is by himself.
Yeah, right.
We could, if we're worried about the kids, we could have just like Mirren can run back and talk to him,
Yeah, I have
or
nothing
just make
here.
sure that.
Yeah, I mean, Mirren could go and I could stay and guard these folks.
Is that the plan?
That's-
Mirren
Yeah, that's
can't
okay
see
with
in the
me.
dark.
And then what Mirren could do is in the morning we could try to. I'll just. Should we plan for you guys to come to us because we have a cart, or should we leave?
I think it would be good maybe to go. Maybe I would ask Ilka too, but to go to the village of the Hisi and tell them what's happened and see if they can offer any assistance to these people.
Yeah, what's this guy's plan? If not, like if we were to just leave right now, what would they do?
If you were all to leave, they would feel there are supplies here, so they have, but they would definitely be they would be unhappy, and they would be um, fearful.
Mhm.
For sure. You'd be leaving them in they're in a weakened state. They have food to survive with, but
Yeah,
they're vulnerable.
Yeah.
and sad. But did they had a good relationship with the Hisi? Did they visit them in the past?
I guess that comes out in conversation with there. Why doesn't Paiviki roll to keep company with Father Ilka?
Okay. Is that +0?
Yep.
Got a 9.
Okay. You can gain a bond with him, or he can gain a bond with you. Your call.
Why don't he gain a bond with us?
Okay.
Or with me, I guess.
They have kind of they occasionally catch glimpses of the Hisi, but there's no interaction between the two. And Ilka thinks of them as guardians of the spirit and of kind of like holy creatures that should not be bothered.
Hmm.
Their calling and their sort of service is higher, and that he believes that those from the lower slopes should not like intrude upon those duties that they are carrying out, whatever they may be.
Interesting.
So you want to send Mirren off to PS?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that seems like a good idea.
And you'll sort of hunker down and be the in charge of this situation. Taimi's out cold. Those other two cultists are still unconscious, and yeah, and everybody's after eating. Armis and his daughter are also they're like asleep at this point. All right, Muirin, what's your goal?
Quiet. Quick.
Quick, quiet, and so as unseen as possible to just get back to Topias.
Right. And I guess she just follow, yeah, the path that she knows works.
Okay, great. Yep.
Watch out for crazed cultists in the woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you will be able to
Definitely.
see him better than he can see you, I think.
Mhm.
Seems dangerous.
For sure, you got that night vision that you can see with. Do you want to go through? So the way you know you could find your way back through those woods, you knew where that was that one trap that got Tiny. You think you could probably go back that way where that trap was and avoid any other potential traps and go up through the woods essentially. Or you could go more off to the north, the way that Taimi approached over that wall, that far wall of the outpost, right? And there's not a whole lot of trees there, so it's more open ground. So you'd be a little more exposed in the moonlight. So those would be your two, and that would be a higher path. So you'd have better, as you went up the slope, you'd have a better kind of perspective, a better view of everything that was happening. Whereas going through the woods, obviously you would be able to see less for most of the journey there. So which one of those routes would you take?
I think Weird would probably pick the foresty
Okay.
path.
Great. Then
Yeah.
roll to set out.
Okay.
And this area is dangerous. So you're gonna add +1.
Okay. Ooh, rolled a 3 plus 1 is 4.
Oh boy.
Uh-oh. Huh. These are all bad rolls today.
Okay, so you get to the edge. So you make your way through the, you pick your way past the place where the traps were. So this is like a fir forest, and you're weaving in and out of the trees silently. There's a point where you there's like a little bit of a rock outcropping that you have to kind of scale up, and like totally silently you kind of like scale up that, and you pull yourself up, and you're on a kind of rocky promontory. There's still some scattered trees around, and standing about 15 feet away from you is the cultist. He's got his hands were tied behind him, and now his hands are in front of him, but they're still lashed together, and he's facing you as if he was expecting you, and his eyes are glowing red.
Ah!
Yeah.
So he's standing there, and you pull yourself up, and he goes, what do you do?
She has her bow out.
Okay, so she so she swiftly, you're like so fast with this thing, you like unhook the bow, and I think there's got to be a quick stringing of it, right? So you're unhook, wing, you put the string in. It's just like that because you're so fast at it, and you're going for the arrow, and he goes and like just starts running at you with his hands in front of you. He just puts his head down and charges at you, and as he does that, you see one of these thorny spikes go out of his shoulder.
Oh.
And he's barreling right at you.
Oh man, I should have had those special herb water thingies. But well, I'm gonna quickly shoot off as many arrows as I can.
I think, okay, so
Is it too fast?
I think you can get one point blank arrow at him. In fact,
I have to roll.
I think he's running right at you. I think you get one point blank arrow and just deal your damage. You don't even have to roll to hit him, but then he's going to be on you.
Ooh. Ooh, and then they're like full of like rage. And
What does sharpshooter do for you, Donna?
it was a damage thing. So I roll my dexes. Sorry, let me read the roll. When you deal damage with a ranged weapon, deal your damage plus dex and ignore whiz points of target's armor. So my dex would be +2 if I am
Wow.
allowed to just roll her.
Yeah. If you deal damage, you just do +2 damage.
Okay. And then what was the damage dice of this
The longbow is a D8.
Whew. Guess it's just the gamble then that this.
Yeah, I guess that I should be clear
Yeah.
about that. If he collides with you, you both are going over the cliff,
Yeah.
which is about a 50. That'll be 1d6 damage if you get taken over that cliff.
I think that Mirren would like, so she's about to shoot
Yeah.
the bow and then realizes there's not enough time, and so she'll just she'll like at the exact time he's about to hit her, like let's see, she would just somersault or like dodge away.
Okay, and like hope this momentum carries him over the cliff, kind of thing.
Yeah, like just the perfect evade.
Just like right at the last possible instant, she's like out of his way. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Roll dexterity.
Okay. Come on. Okay, that is a 8 + 2, 10.
Okay. So he barrels her. He's like charging at you. You got the bow out. You've knocked the arrow. You realize you can't actually. It'd be smarter to not try to get that shot off. And then right when he's on you, you're just not there. And he goes right over the edge of the cliff. Roll a d6.
Okay. 5.
Oh. Okay.
Uh-oh.
So you hear a as he lands down below. What do you do?
She's gonna look.
So you quick glance over the down below, and he's charged over. Boy, so he went pretty far out, landed on the rocks down below, tumbled, smashed into a tree, and is like writhing around and like struggling to get back to his feet. And as he does that, the thing out of his shoulder grows. Like now it's sticking out like 3 feet out of his shoulder.
Oh.
And his right arm kind of like jerks to the side in a weird, it's almost like it's almost like he's a puppet.
Oh no.
And he's like getting back to his feet.
Wow. So she's gonna shoot at it.
Okay.
Yeah. But with yeah, I guess just with the longbow then.
Okay. That's dexterity.
Okay. Oh man. Okay, I rolled a 7 + 2. That's okay. 11. No wait, 9.
9. So you can mark ammo, roll damage twice, and use the lower roll or attract unwanted attention.
I'll roll twice.
Okay, so that's a D8 twice. Take the lower roll.
And then I'll add 2 because my sharpshooter, right?
That's right.
Okay, 4. 6. So
A total of
I'll
6?
take the 4. Yeah, 4 + 2.
Whoa. Okay, so maybe that's like 2 arrows, and it's like, and he at that point he's like right at the base of the cliff. So you're looking down at him, and this thing that's come out of his shoulder like reaches up and stabs into the cliff, and like because his hands are still tied in front of him, right? And it starts to like hoist him up the cliff.
Oh.
So now he's like now he's like halfway up the cliff and he's right below you. So it's almost like there's this human body that's being, there's these things that are external to it that are kind of like moving it around, and he's just, he's still got his hands tied.
Yeah. Wherein it sounds like Marin didn't get super far, or did she get pretty far in this journey?
Oh, far away from, I'd say you're at least a mile or two away from where you were. From this,
Okay,
from
because
this.
yeah. I mean, because the thing I'm worried about, I guess, is letting that creature attack the camp that Paiviki and
Yeah.
Taimi camp.
Meaning that you don't want to like run away. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, right. Okay. Well, she'll do one more
Okay.
shot. Ah, good. That is a 10 plus 2.
All right.
12.
D8 plus 2.
That's a 5 plus 2.
Okay.
Is 7.
So there's maybe a moment's hesitation where you evaluate whether to run or finish this thing off, and then the another kind of barb emerges and stabs into the cliff, and then that first one reaches up and it like lands, it hits the ground right next to your foot, and that's when you like loose 2 more arrows, and then he falls back off the cliff, and the talon thing kind of like scrapes the stone next to you as it like tries to keep holding on, and then falls away, and then it's like and he lands on the ground below. And when you take a step forward and look down at him, you see there's like a couple different sort of spiky things sticking out of him, and they kind of like retract, leaving a human form with 4 arrows in it.
Terrifying. Yeah, Marin just thinks of Taimi and feels scared that would have happened to her. And she's gonna try to continue to Tapias.
Great. Yeah. So then we can cut to Pius, and he of course is very interested to know everything's fine. Itzy is fine. His camp hasn't been bothered. It's kind of spooky out here at night on the side of the mountain, but he hasn't, he's been sleeping kind of lately and kind of expecting, in that state where like he'll wake up at any kind of sound. But he's super relieved to see you and to hear that everyone is basically okay.
I'm glad that Tapias is okay too. Whew.
And then we can roll to pass the night. For those of you, I'm afraid Taimi's not getting any restful sleep tonight.
But she's
What is it like?
engulfed in
Anger
peace.
dreams?
No, actually,
No,
very peaceful dreams. Yeah.
Oh, good.
So why don't you roll for you and Tapias to pass the night? Mark a ration for each of you guys. I guess, John, if you've got the cart kitty there.
Yeah.
It's a 2d6 for past the night.
2d6 plus 1.
A Topias
Oh, plus 1. Okay, so this is just for our side of it.
Yeah.
So this is a 8 plus 1.
Okay.
9.
Everyone gets restful sleep, and you can choose to heal points or awaken refreshed and take +1 forward.
Okay, I will take +1 forward.
Okay. And then Paiviki, will you roll for you guys?
Plus something.
+1.
I got a 4 + 1.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh.
So in the I think you're on watch. So you and Ilka were gonna sort of split the night, and Paiviki, you're on watch. And yeah, to just give us a little, what's Paiviki doing on watch? Like, what's Paiviki thinking about or physically doing while engaged in?
I mean, I think internally she's kind of cursing herself for being such a braggart and like causing unnecessary trouble for everybody. But it you know, in the moment she can't resist it. But so now she's kind of like feeling a bit, she's tired, but then she gets kind of nervous and antsy, and she'll get up and just look around and kind of walk a few paces away and see if she can hear any movement or anything like that, keeping the campfire in sight, and then coming back again and kind of making a little, like, making sure everything, because she doesn't know what's there, or if there's that idea of angry spirits or something is just kind of, I think she's kind of reaching out a little bit with her senses, try to see if there's anything that she doesn't see that she should be aware of.
Oh, reaching out with her sort of magical senses, like
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Whoa,
Ilka said he didn't feel like Vaihainen was there anymore, but she doesn't know what to think right now.
Yeah.
Dealing
Okay.
with anger gods or whatever they are.
Why don't you roll to find answers then?
Okay.
With I think you're trying to sense what's there, right? So wisdom.
Okay. So I got a 7.
Okay. So you're doing that, you're like looking, you're sort of pacing, you're walking to one area and kind of like being quiet and closing your eyes and really trying to tune in. You're feeling that kind of, there's this occasional kind of like cold mountain breeze that's blowing across this area. And at one point you hear a murmuring sound, and you turn around, and Minya, who has been so her and her father are kind of actually they've kind of, that tent that's there, they've been in they're sleeping in that tent. You see that little tent that's by the campfire?
Yeah.
So you hear murmuring from there, and you go and you sort of peek in, and you see that Minya is kind of like tossing and turning, and that gives you a bad feeling. So she appears to be having some kind of nightmare. And that, like, this is like one of those things where like the sound is a little strange at first and curious, and then you go and you pull back the flap of the tent and you look in there, and it's in the glow of the firelight that you see her kind of like tossing, and the hairs on the back of your neck stand up.
I wake her up.
Okay.
And I say, Minya. Minya.
She wakes up as soon as you say her name, and she sort of sits right up. And, as I mentioned before, her face is like, it's got like mud and ash kind of smeared all over it. Apparently by choice. It's not, as you might have expected her to clean up after she got out of that pit, and she hasn't done it. And she says, when she wakes up and faces you, the firelight coming past you into the tent for a moment catches in her eyes, and you see this kind of like the same flicker of flame you saw in Taimi's eyes. And she sits up and she says, he will make you pay.
And I say to her, "You're safe now. He's gone."
And Taimi, something snaps you out of your incredibly deep sleep. Like you're like in a place of like what's like the most peaceful place, or one of the most peaceful places that Taimi's ever been?
Oh gosh. Um, there's a place in the Motherward southeast of the village, um, far enough in that you'll never hear even the most raucous party. And there's beds of these beds of leaves that her mother and her used to nap and sleep in camping when she was first teaching her the ways of the hunter. And that's like very good memory, very peaceful sleep.
Okay, great. So you're there. You're that's the dream that you're having, is that you're back in that place. Maybe you occasionally dream of it, and it's always the most comforting dream. And then you hear in the dream, you hear the growl of a bramble cat, right? You hear that, and that snaps you alert, as you would if you were sleeping there, with your hunter's instinct. So you're like, so you sit up, and you're sitting by the campfire. You're not in the beds of leaves that you thought you were. And you hear that sound continues in your waking life. The sound, at first it sounded like a bramble cat, and now it's like and you look over towards the opening in the wall, where the pit is, and you see that's where you hear the sound coming from. And you hear like a scraping noise.
I think I try to like to get up and then just kind of like fall back. What is that? What's that noise? Where? How long was I asleep?
So Paviki's in the tent and Ilka is sleeping nearby. Are you saying that loud enough to get their attention?
I think I say it quietly at first, and then I say louder. What's that noise?
So Paviki, you hear that?
Paviki?
And I say, "It's just Minya. She was having a nightmare."
No, no, it doesn't sound like a person.
And then there's like and over out of that black opening, this thing that I guess to your hunter's mind looks like it looks like a giant bramble bat claw, a bramble cat claw. That's the first thing that comes to mind. Like, they can retract their claws, and their claws are like black and hooked shape, and it looks like a giant one of those comes out of the opening and sticks into the ground.
Yeah. Help.
Paviki just kind of like lunges out of the tent to see what's going on.
And then you see another one of these talon shapes emerge from the hole, and then they pull one of the two cultists out. So similar situation to what Muirin just faced. So there's this figure is emerging from the hole, and its eyes are glowing red.
Are the talons coming out of his hands, or?
One of them is out of an arm, and the other one is out of his back.
Oh, geez.
Sorry, you guys, if this is grossing you out. is this Johnny, you all right? Okay.
Reminds me of thinking of, what was that? The Thing. John.
Oh yeah, totally. Yep.
Gruesome Land.
Yeah, I'd say similar in terms of like the way things are emerging, but not as it's pretty clean. There's not like any blood or like goo. It's just like these very clean, kind of weird, irregular, jagged shapes.
Clean.
It's very clean.
I
It's
know what you
very...
mean.
And then Mina screams. And Ilka wakes up.
Yeah. And
Is only one monster mash out, or are both of them out?
Currently, you just see one.
Okay.
And Paviki is kind of like trying to, work the part of her brain that is her strength, her strongest suit. And she shouts to Ilka. She says, Ilka, is there nothing that Vaihinen is repelled by?
Is there anything that Vaihinen is repelled by? Repelled by. Only those of purest will can stand against him.
And then she's thinking to herself, damn it.
Thinking to yourself, that was an unclear answer. You were hoping like garlic or...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Purest will.
So he's backing up away from it. And yeah, so he...
Who's backing up?
Ilka is backing up away. So there's Ilka, Taimi, and you're at the tent. So you guys are sort of a semicircle as it emerges. And then, like it's actually holding him up, his feet are dragging the ground, that these like creeper claws or whatever they are sort of dragging him across the ground. And the second one is emerging behind him. So yeah, there's two.
Yeah, go, John.
I'm gonna assume that, like, when I shrugged off everything, I'm sure my bow came off, my short sword, like all that stuff, but I assume that that's probably been gathered at some point, and it's by me. So I'm gonna shoot an arrow.
All right, so you grab your bow.
Yeah, let me reacquaint myself with my moves. Okay. Before you roll, you may spend 1 medal. Oh, can I say that I regain? Well, let's see. How do I regain my medal? When I catch my break and focus my energy. I actually don't think I've done that. I've caught my breath, obviously, but I've not like kind of focused in. Regardless, I am going to use 1 medal to get
you
+1.
You could take a moment right now to do that, or you still have medal left right now. Okay, so it's not.
I still have medal left. Yeah. And I also I don't narratively, like, I don't know what you think the time of that is supposed to be. Like how much time you're supposed to like gather your breath.
If it makes sense. So, but it's like focus too, right? So it makes sense. Like you've woken up, you're realizing this is a problem, you're going to do something about it, but it would totally make sense for Taimi to be like, gather that stuff and then take a moment and not do anything, but just be like, okay, I'm Taimi, goddammit.
No, I think she's
okay.
something on instinct.
Great, great.
I'm going to shoot an arrow at the first one that came up.
Okay.
So adding my +3 dexterity and my +1 that I just gave myself.
Oh, so wow, +4.
Oh boy, howdy. Okay, so that's an 11.
Nice.
So that means that I could do one of these things. Strike true. Yeah, I'm going to use another metal point to strike true, so ignore 3 points of armor. I don't recall whether they have armor, but that bone spur thing looks pretty gnarly.
Okay. Yeah, I think in Taimi's estimation, like the body is where it needs to be hit, and it's not armored, so you don't have to use that ability.
Okay. Then I will not. I'm going to not use the metal, and I'm going to roll a D8 for my longbow. A 6.
Okay. So that's like a good solid. Yeah. So its attention is all on you. It lurches forward, and one of those spikes goes into the fire. And when it goes into the fire, the flame kind of leaps up along the claw. So its right claw is thrust into the fire pit, and it's flaming. Payuki?
That claw is flaming.
Yeah.
Now we've got a flaming claw. Okay. I think that I think Paiviki, let's see, got a flaming claw, god of destruction, pinnacle. I was trying to think of like what form of weave of force she could potentially try to tap into to aid her in this situation. What did, let's see, Ilka said somebody who's strong of will or something like that.
Pure of will, yeah.
Pure of will.
Whatever that
Pure
means.
of will. I wonder if maybe this is a stretch. Tell me if it is. I wonder if she could use her, like, I think she's focusing on that idea.
Okay.
And, you know, if he's a force, if this god or the power that's possessing these guys is a force, and she wants to use her own will, her own denial of his presence to try to like push him out or away.
So to exercise this guy?
Yeah, I mean he left at some point, you know, like when he jumped up and he kind of dispersed, and Ilka said he didn't feel him anymore.
Yeah.
I would want to try to like, yeah, just push
Interesting.
him out.
So to use weave of force as like to compel the spiritual, the energy, not to move a physical thing, but to move the presence of Vihainen out. Whoa,
yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, because it seems like it's like in this guy, it's coming out of him, and if she can just kind of like,
drive it away,
drive it out of his body, and just like poof, or both of their bodies. I don't know. Maybe this
is the point where Paiviki multi-classes as a cleric. Yeah, I'll buy that. Yeah, man, this is like an unnatural force. You're tuning in. The weave, as we've described it, like it's not just the natural world, but it's like the things between the worlds too. And Vihainen's energy definitely comes from a different world. It does make it a little. Trying to think of like the drawback there. I think the drawback is you could. Well, I mean, it may not be a bad drawback that it may turn into a physical force and may kill the subject. If not backfire at you. So yeah, I'm gonna say that's possible. It's so 1 power for range. It's a single target, so that's nothing. And I'm gonna say to expel Vihainen from this guy is a major effect. So that would be a total of 4 power. Where does that put you?
She's, let's see, I'm trying to remember her power. normally I think is 5, but it's I'm trying to remember what it is.
It's your level plus your intelligence modifier.
Yeah, my level is 3. My intelligence modifier is now 1.
Oh, right, because you got, oh yeah, so
Yeah.
you've
I'm
got
down
4
to 4.
power. Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's try it.
So that's straight up no modifier.
+1 modifier for rolling, is that right? When you cast a spell,
Roll plus intelligence. Roll plus intelligence. Sorry. Yes.
+1.
And then, yeah, you're using all your power to manifest the spell, but you do get the +1 to roll. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Would I be able to give it a +1 if I made it touch, if I actually had to touch him?
Yep. If you touch them, that would reduce your power cost. Yep.
But that would mean he could spike me, or
that would mean you'd have to make a saving throw to get in there and touch him without getting hurt. Yep.
Yeah. No, I'll just roll the +1. Hope for a good roll. I'll do it at range. Here we go.
What you got?
Okay, I got a 4 total.
All right, disaster.
Disaster.
Mark intelligence. The spell fails and you forget it, but someone or something nearby, which might be you or an ally, suffers a permanent affliction or alteration of the judge's choosing in proportion to the spell's effect.
I think I would need to bump that up with the luck to disruption.
Yeah, okay. Okay, great. Oh my gosh, whoa, dude. This is a perfect cliffhanger because we're gonna call it, but here's what happens. That's what you're doing, you sticking with disruption?
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
go up to disruption.
So mark intelligence, the spell fails and you forget it, but arcane forces temporarily warp reality for the worse in proportion to the spell's intended effect. So guess what happens? So you go, you like pull everything together. Timy's just like loosed, an arrow into this thing. It kind of staggers back. It's one claw is like flaming. You're like, okay, you're like doing this thing you've never tried to do with the Weave of Force before. You've never faced an extra dimensional entity, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're like trying to figure that out, and you're pulling everything together, and you're seeing the weave around this creature, and you're like, yeah, how are you, like, what are you, I'm doing this, but what is Paiviki's like physical, how is Paiviki casting the spell?
I think she was trying to call on her, her purity of will, like she was thinking about what Ilka had talked about. So she's bringing up her own willpower and she's trying to channel it out into this guy and sort of like use that to like push the so she was kind of just sort of like focusing herself, trying to calm herself, trying to like
Okay,
the energy, and then when it got close enough, just kind of like doing this
okay,
sort of
great
gesture
yes.
at it.
So you do that, and you're doing that, and it's like something sharp catches you right there, and you actually it's like something slices right between your fingers right there, and you start to bleed, and like you're like, what's going on? And you look over and your hand kind of does this, and that the push that you're making kind of slips sideways, and the creature it does sort of stagger back. It puts it, the claw comes out of the fire back like this, and when it strikes the ground behind it, reality splits open. Right behind it, like there's a rip in space occurs right behind it, and so looming behind it, there's this opening. This opening appears like full of fire, so it's suddenly silhouetted against this kind of rip is the best way to describe it. And through that fire, you see a horned, crooked shape kind of loom up behind its puppet.
Oh boy.
And then we're gonna call it there.
It's a great one.
Oh,
Yeah. In retrospect, that was a terrible idea.
Well, I mean, magic has served you really well so far.
I know. It just, she's always had the advantage, and she's only ever really tried to do small things, so
Yep.
that if they go badly, that doesn't have too much consequences.
Right.
So
When the consequences are in proportion to the intended effect, that's the trick.
yeah, she has yet to learn her lesson, apparently.
This is a lesson being learned. All right.
oh my God, this is huge.
Yeah, it says temporarily warp reality for the worse.
Yeah.
In proportion to the spell's intended effect.
Yep.
So what does temporarily mean? I guess we'll have to find out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really like this, but what was 5 if you had added 1 point with luck or something?
So that was what I did.
Oh, that's what was the
I
other?
rolled a 4, which is the spell fails and you forget it, but someone or something nearby, which might be you or an ally, suffers a permanent affliction
That's right.
or
Yeah.
alteration of the judge's choosing in proportion to the spell's intended effect. And I just wasn't quite ready for that.
Yeah.
Permanent affliction, which I know Jason's got a vivid imagination, so I mean, maybe it would have been simple as Paiviki growing horns that, you know,
Yeah.
gesticulate at inappropriate moments, but it could have been worse than that.
It could have been real worse. It could have.
My mind, the only person who was not, it was either going to be Ilka or Paiviki. In my mind, Taimi was sort of too far removed to get in the way of that spell.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the way I was picturing it, yeah, like because you were shooting your bow, I pictured you being further back than Paiviki, but Ilka was off to the right, so it was going to be either backfire on Paiviki or affect him. But instead,
no, this is great. I can't wait to shoot an arrow up the Heinen's nose hole.
Right, Taimi. Oh my God, this is like
yeah.
It's one thing to kick Stonebreaker off a cliff. It's another one to face. Okay, and I did not expect that because all I asked you guys to do was roll to pass the night. I was just like, okay, and then we're gonna have a peaceful night, and then you'll wake up.
I like how you're already doing your apology tour. Listen, guys.
out of game discussion, and so what would be the smartest thing that we should have done? Would it be maybe just leave?
No, I mean, I couldn't have gone anywhere. I mean, they could tell it was spooky. I think our folly was to not assume. We only assumed that Stonebreaker had such a tight hold with Vahainen that he could have monster mash powers.
Yeah.
I think this was great. I think that there's no reason for. I mean, maybe if we were overly cautious, we would have thought like maybe these guys can turn into monster mashes.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think we would have wanted to have the in-game discussion of like, do we cut them loose? Do we throw them off a cliff? I mean, yeah, we could have cut them loose.
Yeah.
But we were so weak and tired that the idea of 3 of them teaming up in the woods, I don't think that we would have gone with that. I don't think that we would have thrown them off the cliff. So
yeah,
this just was so good.
I agree. That was awesome.
All right.
My other move, instead of doing that stupid spell, I was thinking of just regaining my medal. That would have been maybe better.
Taking a moment to like catch your breath.
Taking a moment to calm myself.
Okay, let's wrestle these things.
Well, that probably would have worked better.
Yeah, right. Less
Honestly.
dramatic repercussions, that's for sure.
Yeah. More
All right.
cuts and stuff.
All right. Fighter solve a problem with physical prowess. Solve a problem.
Oh, solve a problem? No.
Solve a problem. No. Magic user solve a problem with magic. Not yet. Create a problem with magic.
Create a problem.
I
with
should
the
change
magic.
that. Solve or create a
Yeah.
problem with magic. That would be a good. I'm gonna write that down. Solve or create. That'll encourage magic users to do crazy shit. Thief, solve a problem with stealth or trickery. I think your tricky dodge to avoid that guy and make him fall off the cliff was worth that XP. Traits, starting with Paiviki. Oh, bold, absolutely.
Bold and boastful.
Bold and boastful. Muirin, super focused. Again, that move I think showed that you were focused, but also, I don't know, through all the stuff, getting people out of the jail, helping out with purging Taimi of the I felt like Muirin was totally on the job that whole time. Taimi, curious.
Irritable?
Oh my god,
Yeah.
so irritable. Of all the people to get poisoned with irewort, you did that was so great. I was like, I'm not even gonna have to have John Chadwell dice. He's just gonna be mad.
Oh yeah. No, that was good. That was fun. I hope it wasn't too mean.
No, that
It was
awesome.
hilarious.
Right.
The best is you don't even know what your magic does.
Well, especially not too mean because you were mean and you were right. And Vicky still didn't listen to you, and she cast a spell that caused the devil to come out of the ground. So
Yeah.
No, I love this like Taimi distrustful of magic arc. It's been, starting with like that feeling of sickness, and then just like it's just been this more invasive feeling, and yeah, it's great.
Man, remember way back when you were distrustful of books?
right.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still can't read.
Yeah. And you chopped up those books. Did you make an exciting discovery? I think so. Everybody gets XP for that.
Yeah, well, a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Did you overcome a difficult obstacle? Muirin definitely did, and everybody gets a point for that. Did you acquire some memorable booty? No. All right. You guys are all on your way to level 7, is that right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So close.
Yeah.
Got 4 to go.
Wow.
Oh wow. Yeah, I'm trailing.
All right. It's bedtime.
Yeah.
All right. So are we back to weekly, you think? Is that what we were talking about? We're going to try again. Should we try again next Thursday?
I'm totally happy to, I think.
Yeah, I thought you were having a different group.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You're absolutely right. I have a thing next Thursday. I was like, yay, we're back. There's this, we're playing it's supposed to be a short campaign of this game called Rebel Crown, which is a lot of fun with people I've never played with before. So it's fun. But
Are you a player?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's a very unusual situation.
Nice.
It's a little weird. I mean, I'm really enjoying it, but it is a little weird.
Is it like a powered by the apocalypse game?
Kind of second generation. It's a forged in the dark game based on the system from Blades in the Dark. And this one, you're the claimant. You're somebody who's been exiled and who is laying claim to the throne of a kingdom.
Mhm.
And you have your entourage, and your entourage are the PCs. But the claimant themselves is a PC, and I'm the claimant. So that's super fun because I'm the person I'm like a young woman who doesn't know who she is, and yet she, has the rightful claim to the throne. And then your advisors are the other PCs. So part of your job as the claimant is to like ask the other players like, how do you advise me in this situation? And then they get to sort of like tell you what they think you should do, and then it's cool. It's a really good game.
That's awesome.
Are the other players claimants as well?
No, each one's called the Devoted, and that's like your bestie friend.
Oh,
One's called the Vengeant, who's just like a really angry soldier who will wreak havoc for you. There's one called, I can't remember, there's like a priest-like character. They just sort of each fulfill a different advisory kind of role. And then they each have their strengths that they can use. There's a really great strategic aspect to it where you're trying to kind of acquire resources. And it's very, it's kind of mission based. So you decide, how are we going to vassalize this province? And then you play out a scene about that. And then you have a phase of the game where you kind of organize your resources and decide what to do next. And then you do the next mission. So it's more kind of like episodic. It's very cool. We, John and I played a very long Blades in the Dark campaign that had a similar structure to it. Yeah. But
Crazy.
cool.
praise Azarax.
Praise Azarax.
Praise Azarax. These guys were a cult. Speaking of cults, it was one of the weirdest RPGs I've ever played because the PCs were all evil cultists, and it was also super fun.
Yeah.
We were really able to. It was a very therapeutic processing. Of our
You're
darker
like
sides.
very, very evil. That's good.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so 2 weeks. John, were you
2
gonna say
weeks from
something?
now.
Yeah.
All right, buckaroos.
Thank you so much.
Great to see you guys.
Yeah,
Sorry it was
thank
such a
you.
long delay between
Oh, it happens.
sessions. Okay.
We're all there.
Until next time.
Bye.